wish to offer my sincere gratitude to all of you for being here this evening. And I welcome you to Sri Radha Gopinath Temple. Of course, our special guest speaker, His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, one of Srila Prabhupada's most confidential and trusted associates, who dedicated so much in a spirit of compassion to helping the people of Bombay to come to Krishna consciousness. He will be the key speaker of the evening. However, he ordered me to speak first. So as your obedient servant, I will speak something, hopefully to prepare everyone, to prepare the pathway for all of us to enter into your treasured, compassionate heart. Hare Krishna. Tonight's subject, from passion to compassion. So perhaps I should speak about passion and Giriraj Maharaj should speak about compassion, because Prabhupada said we should speak according to our realizations. The word passion is derived from the Latin word pati, which means to suffer. This specifically is referring to the passion of Lord Jesus Christ, which is described in the Holy Bible. That incidence of the passion of Christ is when he suffered in his crucifixion intensely for the welfare of others. And today we find that passion could mean a very, very intense, uncontrollable feeling or emotion towards something. Like a passion for art, or a passion for money. It could also mean a very intense desire and enthusiasm to get something. Or oftentimes, the intense desire for sexual love. Now, in the Vedic context, which we'll speak of for a few moments, there is the mode of passion. In Sanskrit, it's Rajaguna, but it's translated by taking that word passion because it fits so well. And Krishna describes the qualities of one who is in Rajaguna, or the mode of passion. He or she is very much attached to the fruits of one's work. A person who has very strong desire to achieve for the purpose, generally, of sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada expands in this regard how a person who has intense desire for money, for sex, for prestige, And of course, the attraction of sex is very much basis of that passion. And this mode of passion is so much ruling over human civilization in the world today. How people are endeavoring for money. How people are endeavoring due to greed. Just to maintain family, so much passion is required. How people are endeavoring so much for honor, prestige. That is mode of passion. How much people are infatuated by lust, sexual propensities. Mode of passion. And knowing that people are so much influenced and impelled by that mode. Modern civilization. Human beings are trying to exploit one another. Instead of trying to bring people to a higher consciousness, which is the purpose of real culture. People are trying to inflame and aggravate their lower qualities of passion to exploit them. Advertisements, especially here in Bombay, the billboards or the hoardings, very passionate. Yes? I'm sure some of you have seen them on the roadsides. Trying to influence you somehow or other to buy this, to watch this, to hear this, to get your money. By appealing to and kindling and flaming that passion within you. And the cinemas, their only purpose is to get your money. And they'll do whatever it takes to get your money. So therefore, so many beautiful people dancing and making love and all of that other stuff. And violence. Violence is the mode of ignorance. People are so much inclined to the mode of ignorance, which is symptomized by sleep, laziness, intoxication, violence. Krishna tells in Gita, Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava. He says it is lust only that is the all-devouring enemy of this world. What is that lust? Uncontrolled passion. And when it is unfulfilled, it is transformed into anger, wrath. Jayato vishayan pungsang sankasteshu bhajayate. When we contemplate the objects of the senses, that attachment awakens. From attachment, if we continue that contemplation, lust, passion. And when it's unfulfilled, another form of passion, which is like a bridge to the mode of ignorance, is anger. So much anger. Now, tonight's lecture, how to transform passion into compassion. Because the path of bhakti is about transformation. Not about killing or destroying, but about transforming. Bringing something from its perverted state to its pure state. The word come comes from the Latin word together with. like companion. Panin means bread. Companion really means to break bread with someone else, or to have a very, very nice relationship as friends, comrade, companion. Company. Com means together with. I like your company. That means I like to be with you. And when you bring that word to the business world, you start a company. Company means you're working with other people for business purposes. Now we come to the word compassion. Compassion means to have an intense emotion and feeling within your heart for the suffering of others. And to be willing to make sacrifices, even experience inconveniences for the welfare of others. Now one may argue, someone in the mode of passion or ignorance, that what kind of happiness is there in suffering for the benefit of someone else? Forget it. It's about me. Philosophically, compassion brings real happiness. Why? Because it's our original nature. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We are all part and parcel of God, or Krishna. Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. He's eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Krishna's nature is he is supremely compassionate. That's his only mission when he descends into this material world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. The Lord descends into this world again and again and again only to show compassion to those who are suffering in forgetfulness of Him. So as the soul, or as the consciousness becomes purified of ignorance, of passion, then the true qualities of the eternal blissful soul begin to manifest. And prominent quality of the soul is part and parcel of God's compassion. To be an instrument of God's compassion. And because the expression of compassion is so pleasing to the Lord, when you water the root of the tree, every part of the tree is satisfied. It is the greatest happiness to the heart. Now, to transform our longings, our greeds, our lusts, our passions into compassion is the most important question in life. There's really only one way: through company, through association. We become what we associate with. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, if you put iron rod in fire, it becomes red and hot like fire. And you may say it's still an iron rod. Prabhupada says, I challenge you, touch it. And you'll get the same experience as if you've touched fire directly. Put that same iron rod in ice, and it becomes cold as ice. It is a law of nature. What we associate with, we become like that. When we associate with God, our godly qualities, prominently compassion, awaken within our heart. And what is the best way to associate with God? By associating with those who love God. When we associate with compassionate persons and follow the path of the compassionate persons, mahajano yena gata sapanta, then that quality awakens within us. Our passions are transformed in that association to compassion. And there are many prominent stories in the scriptures that are told again and again and again to prove this point to us so that we can have faith in it. Narada Muni, his only business is to be compassionate. Narada Muni bajayi vinaradhika mana name. He's traveling everywhere, just chanting the holy names of the Lord. To teach people the glories of the holy name of the Lord. To give people faith in the holy name of the Lord. Valmiki Muni, before he was a Muni, he was a highway robber. He was a dacoit. He was a killer. He would be the front page of every newspaper in the world. That's the kind of person he was. There would be documentaries about him. He was a mean man. He was passionate. And he came across, and Narada Muni came specifically to deliver him. And somehow or other, in the association of Narada Muni, his heart began to change. He realized his own foolishness, that his life was going nowhere. And we know the story. He tried to teach him how to chant the name of Ram, but he was so sinful he could not say Rama. Now, how many of you can say Rama? See? Even I can say it. And we're pretty sinful. So can you imagine how sinful he was? He could not say the name Rama. It was beyond his power to speak that those two syllables. So Narada Muni had to use his creative compassion. Now, a preacher has to do what's necessary to transform a person's heart. It's not just about stereotyped verses. It's about doing the needful. Yes? If you're on the battlefield and you're a medic, doctor, and a person's laying there in the middle of the ditches, you may not have the proper surgical instruments. So you just, pick up some thorns and do the surgery. Yes? You do whatever you have to do. If you did that in a hospital, you'd be fired. You'd be sued for malpractice. But on the battlefield, you do the necessary to save a man. Now, let me ask you this question, especially to the brahmacharis who may be present. What would people say about you if you were out telling people, chant the name of the god of death, Mara? Huh? Say, bogus, concoction. Chant Mara, 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 Mara. But Narada Muni understood this is the only way. Chant the name of the god of death, Mara. And he did it. Mara, Mara, Rama, 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 Rama. Somehow or other, he was chanting Rama without not even knowing it. And he became Valmiki Muni, one of the greatest sages who gave us the Ramayana millions of years ago. And even today, there are hundreds of millions of people reading it and developing love of God and so much spiritual inspiration from it. Passion transformed into compassion by association with a compassionate soul. And then there's the story of Magrari the hunter. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told this story to Sanatana Goswami. Magrari was so evil, so cruel. He was a hunter. Now most hunters, they kill for a living. Yes? Of course today, they kill for sport. They don't even eat it. They don't even sell it. It's just some kind of, passionate ego that I, like God, have the power of life or death over another living being. Or whatever they do. But Magrari, he would half kill animals because he loved to watch them suffer. He didn't want to kill them. It's too easy. Not enough enjoyment for him. So Narada Muni's seeing these rabbits and these deers and these other animals just flapping and screaming in agony. And there was Magrari. Why are you doing this? He said, it is my greatest pleasure to see that in my hands other living beings suffer. That was his passion and ignorance. His passion was to make others suffer. Narada Muni revealed to him karma. That every single feeling that you impose upon another is going to come back to you. And he showed him his future, where all these animals were coming back and making him suffer. Association of Narada Muni. He convinced him. Break your bow. Don't do this to them again. Chant the holy names of the Lord. And the next time Narada Muni came by, along with Parvat Muni, Magrari came to greet them, and he stopped. He came and he was running to greet his Gurudev, and he stopped. And Parvat Muni, why is he stopped? And he saw him, there was a row of ants on the path, and he was waiting for the ants to cross the path. In fact, he was very gently trying to just serve them by moving them aside. Parvat Muni was struck with wonder. Just see the power of associating with the devotee. A cruel murderer, so passionate, is now so compassionate that he will not even cause harm to an insignificant insect. Passion to compassion. Association is the most powerful thing there is. In the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we read about Lord Shiva. During the churning of the ocean of milk, vast quantities of deadly poison spread throughout the worlds. It was threatening the survival of all living beings. They approached Vishnu. But Vishnu wanted to teach that my compassion is most powerfully accessible through my devotees. Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu. Approach Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, after hearing the prayers of the Devas and the Rishis, he said to his consort Bhavani that just see, in general, people in this world are so antagonistic to one another. They're always fighting. Why? Because they're so passionate. They're so greedy. They're so selfish. There's so much an ignorance of the nature of the soul and the nature of real happiness. But it is the first and foremost duty of a devotee to rescue them from their condition. And Srila Prabhupada explains, a devotee is para dukkha dukhi. That means he or she sees the sufferings of others to be one's own suffering, and the happiness of others to be one's own happiness. Materially, people who are suffering want other people to suffer with them. In fact, if you're suffering and you see somebody not suffering, you become envious of them, and you want them to suffer. Yes? If you fail, you don't like to see other people succeed. It gives you pleasure to see other people fail, especially if it's worse than you. That's the mode of passion and ignorance. But we find that example of Srimad Bhagavatam of Draupadi. After the battle of Kurukshetra, all her sons, in their sleep, by Ashwatthama. She was motherless. Can you imagine the pain of a mother losing all her children in a ghastly death? It was a terrorist act. She was so aggrieved. Arjuna, the father of one of the child, and the uncle of the others, he attacked Ashwatthama and caught him. It's a good fight, too. And he just dragged that rascal demon Ashwatthama and threw him at the feet of Draupadi. He was ready to kill him. Bhima said, "Kill that rascal." Draupadi said, "Do not kill him. Let him go." Huh? No, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. What is this, let him go? She said that his mother, Kripi, the wife of Dronacharya, only has one son, and that's him. I know the experience of a mother losing her children. She's an honorable lady. She should never have to suffer like me. Let him go. Let him live. Now in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that is compassion. When you suffer, you don't want other people to suffer like that. You have experience of it. You want others to be happy. That is a Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada gives example of Jesus Christ, Haridas Thakur, Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai. They were willing to endure suffering for the welfare of others. Jesus' crucifixion, he chose, accepted. He could have gotten away from that. He could have just done his bhajan in a quiet place and no one would have bothered him. Haridas Thakur, he was warned. Even at the time of his sentence, either you get the death sentence or you just chant privately somewhere else, but stop all this preaching. Haridas Thakur said, cut my body in 1,000 pieces. It doesn't matter. Every piece is going to be preaching the glories of the holy name. Do what you want with me. I cannot live without showing compassion to others. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces. But the Lord protected him. And ultimately, he was in ecstasy of love of God. That is compassion. So Lord Shiva, all those crazy, passionate people who were fighting amongst themselves, their lives were in danger. He was willing to drink all the poison to save them. And he did. And in the Bhagavatam, it describes that showing compassion to suffering souls, fallen souls, is the supreme way to please the Supreme Lord. There is no service that will please the Lord greater than being instrument of His compassion to others. Now, what is real compassion? This is very important to understand. Arjuna, on the field of Kurukshetra, he saw the two armies. And he felt compassion for everyone. He told Krishna, I will not fight. Put down his bow. Couldn't even hold it. How can I fight? I'll cause suffering to others. People I love. On both sides. I will not fight. Krishna called him a fool. Because it was misplaced compassion. It was compassion in the mode of passion, or compassion in the mode of ignorance, or even compassion in the mode of goodness is not good enough. Because he wasn't considering what is actually beneficial for their souls. So actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna to elevate his consciousness from material compassion to spiritual compassion, para upakar, real welfare. There's another example in Srimad Bhagavatam of Bharat Maharaj, who was a very, very great devotee, very elevated soul. He was on the platform of bhava. Like Arjuna, he was great. He was doing his tapasya, the banks of the Gandaki River, the Himalayas. And he saw that little deer who was drowning. The mother had a miscarriage and she fell in the little baby, just newborn, fell in the river. And you know how sweet looking a little baby deer is. They're so dear. And what could Bharat Maharaj do? He just got out of his meditation, went in and took that little deer out of the water. It's compassion. And that's what he should have done. But then he began to nurse the deer, and he became so friendly and kind to the deer and so concerned with the welfare of the deer that his compassion degenerated to the bodily concept, where he became totally attached to the physical association of the deer. And that misplaced compassion caused him to take his next birth as a deer. And he learned a good lesson. In his next life, he remembered this, and he became Jad Bharat. Haribo. And he showed highest compassion to everyone. Yes, he was walking with the palanquin of King Rahugana. They found him in the forest and said, "You carry this palanquin." So he was walking, and every time some ants came, he stopped. And the other three persons were moving. Now what happens when three people are walking and one person stops? It's kind of like driving in Bombay. But, King Rahugana was not accustomed to this Bombay driving. He was very angry. Said, "What's wrong with you?" Jad Bharat wouldn't step on an ant. Ants were crossing, so he stopped. Little insects, stop. And the king, he may be uncomfortable, but that's all right. The ant should not die. Little uncomfort to a king is a small price for massive suffering to an insect. He was a very brave person. His compassion for the body. But his compassion for the king was great. When the king chastised him, he preached to him and transformed the king's passion into compassion. The king became a pure Paramhamsa Vaishnav by the association of Jad Bharat. How to transform that passion into compassion? Yes, Lord Shiva, he drank the whole ocean of poison, and that blue line that's on his neck is his greatest ornamentation. Because para-upakara, real compassion, is for the body, the mind, and especially the soul. Srila Prabhupada explains, philanthropy in and of itself is the mode of goodness. However, a person has his or her karma. And whatever you do for that person, one way or another, they're going to get their karma. You may change the form it comes, but a certain degree of suffering and a certain degree of happiness is going to come to a person because that's their destiny that they have created for themselves. So philanthropy really doesn't solve the problem. Real compassion is to change the quality of a person's life. Sarva dharman purityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yishami masucha. Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Coming back? Oh, yeah. The greatest compassion is to help a person understand their eternal relationship with God. And we find the great souls throughout history of all spiritual traditions willing to endeavor at all costs to somehow or other enlighten people's consciousness. And in this age of Kali, the means of awakening our original spiritual consciousness, our love for God and our love for all living beings, is the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The six Goswamis, they were living as in royalty. Srinivasacharya writes, they gave all that up to wear simple kopans, sleep on the ground, and beg madhukari. And they did it all, why? Simply to show compassion to the suffering fallen souls of this world. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, he was such a compassionate soul. When he took that voyage from Calcutta to New York City on the cargo ship Jaladuta, why? He had nothing to gain personally. At the age of 70, he endured heart attack, seasickness, so many things. Because of his love for Krishna. When someone loves Krishna, someone loves every living being, because everyone is part of Krishna. The test of love of God is compassion to all living beings. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his most famous songs, he writes that the essence of all religion, every religion, is the chanting of the names of God, Namaruchi, and developing a taste for the chanting of the holy names of God, and Jivadoya, compassion to the fallen souls. Srila Prabhupada lived by that essence. And when he came to the West, enduring amazing difficulties, overcoming impossible odds, he was confronted with a civilization that was so passionate, unbelievable passion. The capital of passion for the whole planet, Manhattan Island of New York City. And who's the most passionate people? The youth, yes? The passions of youth. And Srila Prabhupada, by their association with him, he transformed that passion into compassion. In fact, he utilized their youthful passions and connected it to the service of Krishna, connected it for the welfare of others. He made hippies into happies. Somebody asked Prabhupada, "Can you show me a miracle?" Srila Prabhupada explained, here are these young boys and girls who were addicted to illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. And now they're living such completely pure lives and making great efforts to uplift the consciousness of others by bringing them closer to Krishna through prasadam distribution, through speaking the words of Krishna, through book distribution, through Harinam Sankirtan, through developing temples to give people the opportunity to associate with devotees. And those same young people, so passionately seeking sense gratification, within a matter of weeks in the association with Prabhupada, were traveling around the world, spreading the highest dharma of prema bhakti through Nam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And now we have the very, very great fortune to hear from His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, who was a personal associate of Srila Prabhupada. One of the persons within this world who had the most personal eyewitness experience of Srila Prabhupada's compassion. And how Srila Prabhupada transformed the passion into compassion of so many persons. like a touchstone. It's now time for Maharaj to speak, but I do not know where he is. We recite the verse, Bancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. A devotee is like a desire tree, because they're compassionate to all living beings. And the nature of a desire tree is our innermost heart's desires are fulfilled in the association of such a desire tree. So as soon as Maharaj returns, we would like to hear from him about his experiences in the association of Srila Prabhupada, of how association with a great soul can transform even the lowest, most fallen soul's heart and inspire them to be paradukkha-dukhi, from selfishness to selflessness, from arrogance to humility, from greed to generosity, from envy to love. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.